Really feels like the Republicans are playing games on this, and I don't think healthcare is a game.
It shouldn't be a game, but clearly they have decided to make it a game. And it's interesting that you bring up the retaliation. The Republican response to us allegedly holding the government hostage is to go out and hurt the people, the very people that are serving our country and serving our constituents. This tells you who it is that they are fighting for. They didn't say they were going to hurt the billionaires. They said they were going to hurt the very people that make this government go. And honestly, I don't think they need a shutdown as an excuse to hurt them, because we've seen the illegal firings and the illegal rifts, and we've seen all the court cases, and we've seen them have to go back because they're idiots and don't know who they're firing. And then they're like, oh, never mind, I may need you back. So, you know, this is just another excuse for them to do the very inhumane things that they want to do.
I mean, we finally have a chance at a very clear message here. And I think that we're winning this fight finally, and proof is in the pudding. That's why the Republicans aren't even here. The message is just health care over billionaires. There's two bills. The Republican bill that says they're going to give tax breaks to billionaires and kick 15 million people off their health care, jack up health care costs for tens of millions more people. And then the Democratic proposal, which is let's keep your health care and fight for the American people and open up the government. I feel like every day of the week we can stand behind making sure folks have their health care while these guys try to give, I don't know, tax breaks to their best friends.
That may be, Congressman Cassar, but the reality of it is very different. And the reality of it is I got up this morning, and for about 5 hours, the only voice I heard and the only pictures I saw were Republican leadership on the balcony, doing press conferences, delivering a message. The Democrats didn't officially get in the game until 2 p.m. And here's the problem. Messaging requires impact immediately. You cannot wait in a moment like this to have it defined 4 hours, 5 hours after the leadership that is lying to the country, all right? They're lying to the country about the fact that the Democrats have proposed a bill that does what? Gives health care to who? Illegal.
Oh, yeah, they're always going to blame an immigrant, right? That's what they're always
but it works, Congressman. That's why they do it.
That's why they do it.
And so what is the repost? What is the counteraction from Democratic members and leadership? Why do you allow them to hold such strong, I guess, grip on the American psyche when it comes to these types of issues?
I think we have to not cave to it. I think that's the answer, because if we stand strong and we show our real confidence in the truth, right, they're on the flimsiest of lies, which is the lie that Trump always goes to, go blame an immigrant. And if we give in to that, then we are beefing up, we're giving that gas. But if we stay strong and stay strong with the truth, which is our proposal is to keep tens of millions of people on their health care and lower costs, and we stay confident in that, that lie eventually, flimsily, has to fall apart. Now, if your question to me is, well, what are you going to do about the fact that oligarchs and Trump billionaires have bought up so much of the media, and that, you know, whatever TV show you're putting on in the morning is...
That was my network.
Yeah, but let's ask your network about it. But the thing is, we were up early in the morning putting the message out. We were out all day. I did like 6 different press conferences, every single local TV station. But yeah, if your question to me is, why don't you have as big of a megaphone as Donald Trump, we're not going to have that.
No,
but what we can do is have millions of people organized.
The expediency of it.
I'm talking about the expediency of it, and the megaphone isn't it. You're talking about the Speaker of the House and Hakeem Jeffries, the Minority Leader of the House. Yes, one megaphone may be a little bit larger by virtue of office, but the message, I think, is a bigger message for Democrats than Republicans.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't run comms for the caucus, so I'm not going to tell you what the comms plan is. But first thing I did was I was on syndicated radio. Young Jock texted me this morning and was like, hey, can you jump on? So first thing this morning, I was on black radio so that black folk could hear me, a trusted voice, and know what was going on as they were going into work. I then got on with local news, because it is important that my district, especially since since I'm not there right now, it is very important that my local constituents, the ones that sent me to D.C., know that I have a message for them. So I got up, I did local news. All this evening, I am doing the national news. But this is just what me and my team have set out for ourselves. I do know that the leader had I think he was doing a 24-hour YouTube stream. And so I know that they were kind of running different people on that stream to try to communicate. We are behind. I mean, Michael, these are the facts. Yeah. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie. We are behind. They are way ahead. Congressman Kassar brought up the fact that, yes, they're buying up the media space, but also just how to use the media. We're just now starting to get with influencers. We're just now starting to get online in general. Like, we are far behind.
I do think it is interesting, though, that part of the schism seems to be within their own caucus. There was reporting today from the Wall Street Journal about the fact that you do have moderate House Republicans who are floating a year-long extension of these health care subsidies. But it's the Freedom Caucus that's saying that's a non-starter for them. And then you have that Fabrizio polling from July that is basically like, hey, Republicans, if you decide to go with this move and actually raise people's health care premiums, Democrats are going to absolutely slaughter you come midterms. So there has to be someone, Congressman, in their caucus who knows that this is a political loser for them.
They know it's a loser. Yes. And that's why they are floating these things of, well, trying to fix some of the problems they caused just in time for the elections. But we can't settle for just fixing their problem. We have to stand strong and actually fix the problems of the American people, because I think that even though their propaganda is strong, Michael, I think that if we deliver in a big and meaningful way for people, where folks expect Democrats sometimes to cave, but actually deliver in a big way, don't just give them one little year of an extension, then maybe folks can have another party to believe in.
There was a piece in the New York Times. There were a bunch of charts from Steve Ratner that I think help articulate this, and then I'll kick it over to you, Simone. Can we pull up Ratner's essay in the Times? Even upper-income Americans who buy insurance on the ACA exchanges will be hurt by the repeal of this tax break. That's because as coverage gets more expensive, healthier people drop their insurance first, forcing companies to raise premiums on the remaining customers to maintain profitability. Thanks to Republican legislators, a 55-year-old couple making $85,000 annually could see their health insurance costs more than triple to $24,535 a year. I think those types of illustrations are helpful, Simone, because I think sometimes when we have these conversations, they're like, oh, poor people aren't going to have health insurance. No, we are talking across the income spectrum about this affecting
We are talking about everybody. You know, I disagree with the chairman.
Yeah,
you know, I think that again, usually I would argue my Democratic friends are very much so behind the 8 ball. I think that what has happened is you all have wrestled the narrative.
A lot of good can come from the shutdown. It will hurt Democrats. It's Democrats that are shutting the government down. And speaking of DOJ, there's also the Trump-backed bailout of the administration's kooky far-right buddy in Argentina, this guy. The administration is just giving him a $20 billion bailout line to help his struggling, possibly approaching crisis economy because he did all these sort of right-wing reforms ahead of Argentina's upcoming election. They've even said it's like a bridge to get him over the election. Now, Democrats in Congress don't get a say in that. Just, again, $20 billion, whoop. All that being done without any outside input. But the Democrats are the ones responsible for shutting the federal government down. And I will say, it doesn't appear from the polling that people are really buying it. New polling indicates more Americans are blaming the Republicans for the shutdown than the Democrats. And I think it's because it is obvious to anyone paying attention that Trump is running the show, right? As terrible that may be. He wants you to think that. He doesn't want to think the government's controlled by Democrats. Yesterday, Democratic Congresswoman Madeleine Dean confronted Speaker Mike Johnson in front of the cameras and said what a lot of people are thinking, that Donald Trump is unwell.
The president is unhinged. He is unwell. What are you doing?
A lot of folks on your side are, too. I don't control
Oh, my God, please. That performance in front of the generals, that
I didn't see it.
is so dangerous. You know I serve on Foreign Affairs and Appropriations. This is a collision of those two things. Our allies are looking elsewhere. Our enemies are laughing.
I just left
you
the
have a
speaker's
president
side.
who is you have a president who is unwell.
Claire McCaskill is former Democratic Senator of Missouri. Brendan Buck worked in communications for House Speaker John Boehner and Paul Ryan. They both have experiences with government shutdowns, and they join me now. Claire, what do you think about where we are, the sort of spin today about who gets blamed for it?
Well, listen, the Democrats have a lot of work to do here. The message is not complicated. They won't negotiate to save your health care. And by the way, there's two things that are different about this shutdown that have never occurred before in a shutdown. The first one is that the folks in charge of government will not negotiate. That never happened before. That never happened before. There was always negotiation going on. And by the way, at a minimum, they would show up at least to negotiate. I mean, Johnson doesn't even want them in the Capitol because he's afraid, frankly, probably of the Epstein vote. And then the second thing that's different here is never before have tax dollars been used to politicize a shutdown. You can go on every website and you can see the language that's being used that is a blatant violation of the Hatch Act. Rhetoric being used with tax dollars on government websites. I mean, this has never, ever happened before under a Republican president or a Democratic president. So this is a much different kind of shutdown. And by the way, I have a friend who told me that her sister, who's a member of a Coast Guard family, Coast Guard families were in food lines today, knowing they won't get paid in October. ICE will get paid because they got all that money in the big ugly bill, but the Coast Guard won't get paid. So he's demonizing federal workers, many of whom are sacrificing greatly to serve their country. And I just pray the Democrats get aggressive and stay on message. This is about health care versus tax cuts for billionaires.
What you're seeing is Democrats with message, good message strength. And you saw it earlier with AOC and Bernie Sanders. They've been doing the media. We had AOC. We covered her last night. Her and Bernie have sort of been doing the rounds together and on traditional media as well. And you see Jasmine Crockett. You see basically people from different camps of the Democratic Party, I think, doing a good job saying that Republicans control the government, so it's ultimately their responsibility. They want to shut things down so that they can try to destroy your health care. And they're trying to use this moment to implement more Doge-style chaos. That the voters elected Republicans. They did. I think they did so incorrectly, but they did. They elected the Republicans to get prices lower for regular people. To lower for pretty much everyone watching this. And I know you guys didn't vote for Trump, but like, to lower folks like you, his whole mandate was about lowering your cost of living, which included prices at the grocery store, but just in general. Life in general is getting expensive. Housing, education, yes, food, all of that getting very expensive. One of the things that gets expensive is healthcare, and health premiums going up and up and up. Expensive for workers, expensive for companies that have to provide it. And all of a sudden now, this Trump move would make premiums go up rather substantively for the people least able to pay them. So it's not only an issue of justice and public health and basic human dignity, it's also an issue of cost. People are struggling with their pocketbook, and if you make their healthcare more expensive, it's like making their eggs and their meat and their bread and their vegetables and fruit more expensive. And so Donald is being called out for that. The Democrats need to stick to messaging. No BS, no distractions. Trump is making your healthcare worse, and he's taking money out of your mouth, out of your bank account, and he's taking food out of your kid's mouth. And that's the story.